And once again, we are live. We are live from Monday Night Raw, ladies and gentlemen. Monday Night Raw, can you imagine? Oh, he's gonna hit him with a chair. He's gonna throw him off Earth. Bro, I'm telling you right now. Friday night. Friday night. SmackDown. Hold on. What's that? What's that? What's this one? All right, this is me just hoping that the audio is the way it needs to be. I gotta, and I have to check it live. I gotta check everything right now. Hoping that the audio is the way it needs to be. I gotta, cool. And I have to check it live. Let me make sure that my Twitch is lit. Let me make sure that my Twitch is lit. Hey. And of course, that don't gotta be that loud. Bro. Let me get some snacks in real quick, because your boy. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm cold, man. Bro. I actually do want to have a conversation about Resident Evil. I actually do want to have a discussion about Resident Evil. Just give me a second. I'm trying to get like a decent little picture in the background, Zoom in on that. Hey! So let's talk about it. And why? Why do we need to talk about it? I'm glad nobody asked. Look, so Resident Evil Requiem, right? I've been saying Resident Evil 9, but Resident Evil Requiem, it is what it is. Potato, tomato at this point. Look, there are so many things that there are like so many different angles that I can talk about it from. And I think the first angle that I will, discuss it is the fact that, listen, I really think that some people just aren't really survival horror fans at the end of the day. Yo, when I tell you that people, like when they first started playing Resident Evil 9, people were dying, bro. So like just stupid stuff kind of irritates my soul. But I realize that there's something that I realized about it. When it comes down to like scary games, what irritates me is seeing characters that I care about die in a video game. Whether that be through like something canon or otherwise. So for me, I look at it like this. If you're not paying attention to the type of game, that you're playing and you just want to run around and die for free, get off the game. All right? Like get off. Now, for me, and the way that like the way I see it, like I've been playing Resident Evil ever since I was a kid. And I don't really remember when Resident Evil 4 first came out. Like I don't remember playing the game on release date. I do remember that Resident Evil 4 was on a GameCube when I was little. It was on the PlayStation 2, and I think the first time I played it, I don't know. I don't know if it was GameCube or the PlayStation, but I just remember the game just being like being around at that time. And like it makes me wonder, when was the Nintendo GameCube released? So the GameCube was released September 14, 2001, followed by a North American release on November 18th, 2001. Okay. And when did RE4 come out for GameCube? 2005, bro. That's crazy to me. Resident Evil has been around for a long time, bro. And like I just think that since I've been playing Resident Evil games ever since I was a kid, I I kind of just like understand the game. Like I understand the gist of it. I get what you're supposed to do. I also understand what you're not supposed to do, like you're not trying to get knocked off planet Earth. And it takes for people to actually have played the games in the past to kind of know what you're allowed to do in the newer games. Now, there have been like videos of certain people who were having a hard time playing Resident Evil 9. And I know like people were reacting to their videos and saying, "Oh, if this person is bad at the game, then the game is a bad game." And it's like, "No, you just don't understand the concept of, hey, if a zombie is gonna throw a bottle at me and I'm going to stand there, not move, and not parry it, I'm going to get hit." And I found it like so funny at the time, but then I started getting mad because it went from some people crying about the game to like people dying in the game. And I'm like, bro, like y'all really out here got my boy Leon getting folded like he's soft, bro. And it's so irritating to see because like Leon is one of my top 5 like favorite characters of all time. And I always say this. Every video game that has like my favorite characters in it, they always try to do them dirty with the death scenes, bro. I don't understand it and I hate it. I'm like, bro, like either take care of my characters or get off. Like, don't even play it. I really do like Resident Evil Requiem. And I enjoy the game overall. The game is real. It's not that it's really stressful for me, but the game has a certain level of stress, and it's because I'm playing characters that I care about. That's why there's a certain level of stress that's tied to the game. It's a really enjoyable experience for me. And why are we not playing today? Like why are we not playing tonight? I think that I'm gonna save Resident Evil for tomorrow. So we're gonna go live around maybe 11 to 12 p.m. And then we'll start playing, or maybe I'll push it to the afternoon. Just so I know some people don't wake up Saturday morning. Like people like to sleep in, and so I'm more of an early bird. So I don't like get on early. I mean, no, I don't. I typically wake up early. So I'm trying to find like a happier medium, like a happier balance when we do go live with Resident Evil, or just any game that we play for that matter. But like Resident Evil in particular, like I'm enjoying the game and I want to make sure that everyone that wants to watch the game they're present for it. I don't want anyone to miss it. And of course, I can always post the live stream to YouTube. Like we stream to Twitch and YouTube simultaneously, and we've been doing this for years. So it isn't new to me at all. I just look at it like I do what I can. We post little clips here, and yeah, and just kind of like enjoy it and make the most of what we have. Some people are going to tune into the live streams, and some people just won't. And I realized, like, I'm thinking community my community has always been split down the middle, you know. Hmm. My Twitch community has always been heavy on the scary games. My YouTube community, they seem to be more interested in me posting videos and reacting. And I try to find like that happy medium between the two because I do want to do like both and dedicate my time to it. And that's why like we made these our recent videos, reaction videos, so that like I can make sure that I'm still consistent and being not even still, but getting back into being consistent and posting reaction videos. I know it's getting warmer. Spring break is right around the corner. I'm actually on spring break now, so there's I'm sure I still have like postings, but outside of postings, I have nothing. I have nothing else to do until like Monday and Tuesday. So I'm gonna like relax for the most part. But talking about like Resident Evil Requiem, like I really do enjoy the game overall. I just one thing that I don't like is I don't like people that seemingly don't know what they're doing. But I also understand from me playing Resident Evil 9, I also understand that there are times where like I'm getting hit and then even I get disoriented because I'm like, bro, I tried to dodge the zombie and the zombie still hit me even though I pressed the parry button. So, what is it? My parry button isn't working or am I just not allowed to dodge certain attacks? And I can see that. I know that there are certain grabbles in Resident Evil 9 that you can't dodge. I know that. And I also know that there's something in the game called perfect parries. And if you can perfect parry something, then that's pretty much like an not an auto kill, but that's pretty much like like an easy kill for you. I pretty much just said the same thing twice. Um, have we done it in the game? Maybe, maybe. I kind of thought that it was like a timing thing, like maybe the zombie had to have a certain amount of damage so that when you did parry him, because I think every parry does a little bit of damage. And compared to like Resident Evil 4, when you parry, I know when you parry in that game, like if a zombie throws like a punch, some random haymaker from left field, and you parry it, like that zombie will lose his arm, and then you can follow it up with a melee. And Resident Evil 9, I think something like that is sort of similar, but I think they really emphasize the perfect parries. Now, besides that, let's talk about Resident Evil Requiem and the potential for it being game of the year. I do think that Resident Evil 9, I keep calling it Resident Evil 9 because that's what it is at the end of the day, but it's most commonly referred to Resident Evil Requiem. So, does it have potential to be game of the year? I believe so. And the reason why I think that it has potential to do that is because Resident Evil 9 to date has done really well in terms of sales. How many copies has RE Requiem sold? Resident Evil Requiem has sold over 5 million copies worldwide in just 5 days following its February 27, 2026 release. According to Capcom, this milestone makes it the fastest selling title in the Resident Evil franchise's history. Mm. This video discusses the rapid sales of Resident Evil Requiem. So, it's pretty interesting. So they sold 5 million in 5 days. That's like saying they sold a million in a day. The game has been highly acclaimed by critics with praise for its atmosphere, story, and balance of survival horror. Now, in addition to how many copies, how many active players does RE Requiem have? Resident Evil Requiem launched February 27th has seen massive activity, peaking at over 344,000 concurrent players on Steam. Daily active users have fluctuated between 2,600,000 and 290,000 on Steam, with reports suggesting over 2 million daily active users across all platforms combined in its opening weekend. So Steam peaked at 344,214 concurrent users, fastest selling in the series. Active players, daily users remain strong, frequently appearing in top playlists with over 114,000 to over 200,000 concurrent often active in early March 2026. And hey, we're in March right now. We're almost at the midpoint, March 13th. Hey, Friday the 13th. Scary, all of that extra stuff. Great stuff. Total reach, the game reached over 1 million players within its first week across PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC, according to Focus Entertainment. It says, note, this may refer to the game A Plague Tale Requiem, whereas the top 344,000 peak refers to Resident Evil Requiem. The game, which is in its ninth installment, has set a new record for the Resident Evil franchise, beating previous peaks of the 4 remake and Village by over 100%. So statistically and actively, Resident Evil Requiem is doing extremely well. Now, I know that when it comes down to talking about game of the year, I know it goes deeper than just how many copies. What determines what gets game of the year? Game of the year. See, I always knew that there was like a method to it. Game of the year is determined primarily by expert committee votes, such as the 100 plus global media outlets used by the Game Awards, which constitute 90% of the vote. That's a that's a yeah, that's like a that'll blow it out the water. Criteria focus on creative, technical excellence, with winners often showing industry innovation, while public votes, which accounts for only 10%, have limited impact. So, what determines a public vote? What about like buying the game? Does buying the game not determine game of the year? What? Buying a game does not determine if it wins game of the year. Major awards like the Game Awards are decided by a 90% jury vote, that's journalists, and only 10% public fan voting, focusing on critical quality rather than sales volume or purchases. A Game of the Year edition just means it won some award, not necessarily the top industry award. Okay, so if that's the case, then explain why Astrobot won Game of the Year. Explain that then. Astrobot won Game of the Year by delivering a masterclass in pure joy, creativity, and polished gameplay, offering a refreshing contrast to larger, more serious, or broken AAA releases. It achieved this through exceptional DualSense controller mechanics, nostalgic PlayStation tributes, and creative, accessible 3D platforming that appealed to a wide audience, proving that fun and quality matter more than sheer scale. So you're telling me that buying a game has nothing to do with a game being game of the year. So what that means logically is a game can win game of the year even if no one's playing it. That's different. I've never heard of that before. That is different. That's different. And I don't agree with that. Ah, man. I was cold, but then that tea has me feeling nice. I don't agree with that. That's strange to me. That is absolutely strange to me. So people highly anticipating a game's release has nothing to do with its sales. Okay. The Game Awards have become the Game Awards have become increasingly contentious, with debates over whether they are political or simply reflecting a more socially conscious industry. Recent events have featured calls for geopolitical statements on Gaza, protests regarding industry layoffs, and disputes over game eligibility, leading to intense online discourse surrounding the show's focus. Hmm. The 2025 awards saw protests regarding mass layoffs in the gaming sector, with activists calling for accountability from CEOs rather than focusing solely on accolades. Controversy over winners. Some winners have faced scrutiny, with online discussions linking game success to geopolitical events or questioning the independence of titles based on their publisher backing. Okay, but Expedition 33 blew the Game Awards out the water, and that was their first game. I heard people like in my interpersonal life talking about how well Expedition 33 was. And I was looking at it like I really didn't even hear about Expedition 33 until the Game Awards. And then I bought it because it was on sale. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, this took a turn. They talking about something else. I just think that when it's all said and done, like when we vote for the game of the year, like when we vote for the game that we think will win, votes only account for 10%. So you can have the whole planet vote for a game. Once again, it only counts for 10%. They say expert critics, journalists stand for 90% of the vote. How can you stand for 90% of a vote? But it's just those numbers are crazy. Why can't it be like a 80-20% thing? Or 80-85% 15. I just look at it like you have people that are hardcore gamers, but I can sort of understand that like maybe people try to look at the game that's going to win from like an objective standpoint. I just from the outside looking in, I would have thought that in order to determine whether a game deserves game of the year, you would pay attention to how well the public received the game. But that is not even half the battle. That is literally only 10% of the battle. Not to mention sales have nothing to do with a game winning game of the year. So it can make $1 billion. That doesn't mean anything. They don't factor sales in game of the year, and I didn't know that. So what does that mean for Resident Evil Requiem? We have to see what people are saying about it. About what? Expert critics describe Resident Evil Requiem as a highly rated masterpiece survival horror game that masterfully blends action and terror, acting as a best of compilation with strong nostalgic elements. It features a unique dual perspective gameplay loop, splitting between Grace first person horror and Leon third person action. This video offers a critical perspective on the game's design choices. Let's give it a watch, shall we? I don't know where that burst of energy came from. First, how long is it? Okay, the video was 8 minutes long. Okay. Let's give it a watch. 3, 2, 1.
With Resident Evil 4's release last year, Capcom's project to remake the glory years of its survival horror series is complete. But as the game's post-credit scene suggests, the remakes aren't over. And so the big question is, where next? The obvious answer is a remake of Resident Evil 5. But on the game's 15th anniversary, it's clear that moving forward chronologically will take Capcom's remakes into the series' weakest era, an era of gameplay and narrative decisions best left in the past. Resident Evil 5 simply can't be remade.
Interesting. Hold on. Finish that statement.
At least not to the standards of Capcom's best work. And so the answer is not to remake, but to rewrite.
That's interesting. That is interesting. Because I'm thinking, if they do remake, well, not even remake Resident Evil 5, but if they are to remake another Resident Evil game, what would it be? Like, I think that's an interesting question to ask. And like the reason why that's interesting is because people are saying the next game to remake would be number 5. That makes the most sense. What I appreciate the fact that we got a whole new game, whereas we could have gotten another remake. We probably could have got Resident Evil 5 instead of Resident Evil Requiem. But hey, I just think that I don't know if we are still in the realm of remakes, because I remember when the remake for Resident Evil 2 was coming out, not too long after that came out, the remake for RE3 came out. And then there was like some time people kind of gave, Capcom gave it a break, and then the remake for Resident Evil 4 came out, which of course, it's like the games with Leon always sell the best. Like Leon is like the character that you pretty much get attached to early. Of course you have Jill, you have Claire, you have Chris, and then you have Leon and Ada, and I just think that dynamic the dynamic between Leon and Ada is just one that people want to like conclude. And the way that they wanted to conclude is that Leon ultimately ends up in a relationship with Ada. And I would be lying if I said I didn't, I wouldn't want that same thing. I just think that like Leon has been through enough, right? And Ada already kissed your boy in Resident Evil 2. So why not just, tie the knot, Stop playing with the fans, bro. It doesn't make sense for Leon to end up with anyone else. I don't see why Leon would end up with Claire when Leon met Claire and Ada around the same time. And if that was the case, where Leon would end up with Claire, Leon should have kissed Claire in Resident Evil 2 and not Ada. He actually he was more drawn to Ada. I think like even though he spoke to Claire, he was hands on in the action with Ada in some parts of the game. In the cutscenes. I just think that that isn't something that people should avoid. All right, Leon's and Ada's relationship. Who is Leon married? Oh boy, see, blah 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 blah.
The
Let's.
relationship between Leon and Ada has been that of a cat and mouse type of relationship ever since Resident Evil 2. However, Resident Evil 6 felt like the game in which Capcom was going to develop their connection beyond just the cat and mouse relationship that it had been up until this point. And we see this through Helena's character. Throughout the campaign, Helena sees and notices that Leon has deeper feelings for Ada than just some friend that he happens to know. She even says this to him directly in the elevator when she says to him, she's more than just a friend, you have feelings for her. And this surprises Leon as he looks at Helena because he knows that what she just said is true. And then, after the Simmons boss fight that happens shortly after that, Leon looks across at Ada as she sends him a message, and then they go their separate ways. Leon yells Ada's name, and Helena actively encourages Leon to go after Ada. And this is a huge deal because this is the first time that an outside character has gotten this involved between Leon and Ada. We did have the one little moment in Resident Evil 4 where Ashley questions who Ada is to Leon, but nothing really comes from that. Here, Helena is encouraging Leon to go pursue Ada, and that's a huge deal. And then, of course, at the end of the campaign, we have Helena toss Leon Ada's makeup case that she had stored the chip file that had all the evidence against Simmons in. She tosses that to Leon and says, for the next time you see her. And this was a really big deal because it basically meant next time Leon and Ada appear in a game together, Capcom was going to further develop their relationship.
I mean, see, my thing about that is like, I feel like the fans know how it should end. And Capcom is playing games and not showing us, not making it canon yet. I just think that how like people make like theories about video games and a person will go to the left and this person will go to the right and they have all of the justification that they need. Like they'll post something, it gets all of this traction, all of these views and everything. My thing is this is like I said, and shout out to Matthew. It's like we know that Leon likes Ada. It's more than just a friend. Like we knew that early from Resident Evil 2 when he first met Ada. Remember, she fell off the thing and Leon thought she was dead. And then Resident Evil 4 right after that. So you hardly ever see, like, what would be crazy? If they came out with like either DLC and it had Leon and Ada like working side by side, but they typically don't work side by side. Like Ada she's almost like she's not a hired mercenary, but she's like a hired operative, to an extent. Do this mission for Wesker, bring it back, which is what she was doing in Resident Evil 2. And it's the same thing that she was doing in Resident Evil 4, just going on like these secret missions. She just happens to bump into Leon and she actually likes your boy. And Leon does too. Like I just look at it like, are they going to give that to us? Or are they going to keep, like teasing their fans about it? I mean, they could. it is what it is at the end of the day, you know, like if that's one of the things that kind of keeps people, attached, to the series, but people are attached to Leon, period, bro. And you haven't even seen like people react to like Leon in Resident Evil 9. Like people, man, bro, people are crazy, okay? People are crazy. They are out here going crazy over what he looks like. Oh my god, Leon. And I'm like, bro, chill, like chill. Chill. Wasn't nobody saying all this about Leon in Resident Evil 2, bro. Wasn't nobody saying none of that. You know? But like I said, like Leon is like literally top 5 favorite characters of all time. It the only like if I had to, like rank it, it would be first place would be a tie between Leon and Dante from Devil May Cry. Two, in second place, Snake. Uh Third place, everything after that it gets complicated. I guess, third, Chris. Fourth, Wesker. Uh oh, and fifth, mm, in fifth place, I don't know, bro. I don't know. Like I don't really care to like rank, my favorite characters. I'm just thinking like if I had to, like outside of first and second place, every other ranking is blurry because it really doesn't matter. Like the people that I like in video games and Resident Evil games in particular, it's like all I like all of them the same, and like even Wesker is up there. Like, Wesker wouldn't be my number one character, but he would be my number one villain though. And if Wesker isn't like my favorite villain in all video games, then he would be second place, and first place would probably be Virgil, you know? But oh, your boy Golgan Dantes. I gotta have Golgan Dantes up there. Like Golgan Dantes from Onimusha, Golgan Dantes is funny. He is funny, bro. Like, I think he's one of the most respectable villains in video game history ever. And I'm gonna show you guys what I mean by Golgan Dantes. I'm gonna show you a couple clips from him, but I do want to continue watching his video though. See what else he has to say.
They were going to actually have Leon go and pursue her and further develop that rather than continue with the cat and mouse chase that they had been doing throughout all these games. And so that was a really cool thing to see. The only unfortunate thing is we have yet to see them in a canonical story since Resident Evil 6. That was the last time that we had seen them. Everything else has been remakes like Resident Evil 2 and the upcoming Resident Evil 4, or it's been non-canon things like Resident Evil Reverse. We have yet to see these two in a new story together, and I'm hoping that that is something that is coming up soon. Now, as I've said before, I think Resident Evil 9 is going to be more than likely about Chris and his Houndwolf squad investigating the BSAA in Europe, so it probably won't be Resident Evil 9, but maybe a Revelations 3 or Resident Evil 10 or something like that could be when these two characters will once again cross.
Yeah, speaking of which, why would Oh wait, no. I almost went on a tangent. I started thinking, I'm like, oh, why would Chris end up? Nah, because Chris is related to Claire. Goofy. Um, no, actually, like what I thought, the thoughts didn't connect because I'm like, wait, I mean that could happen because technically, like, Leon could end up with Claire. There's nothing like kind of coming in between of that. But of course, the only issue is once again, it's like the fans want Leon to be with Ada when all is said and done. And I think that the same can be said for Chris and Jill. Like it would what sense would it make for Chris to end up with a different female protagonist in the game if they're outside of yeah, I can't think of anyone else outside of Jill. Yeah. So like it wouldn't even make sense for like Chris to end up with someone outside of Jill. Like in Resident Evil 5, like Chris went through everything just to find Jill again. Because remember, back at the mansion when Chris and Jill fought Wesker. Ooh, bit my tongue. Back at the mansion when Chris and Jill fought Wesker, in like the library area, what happened was Jill and Wesker pretty much like fell out the window. And from that moment, Chris thought that Jill was like dead. And so that's how Resident Evil 5 starts. So I take that into account and I compare that to Leon's situation. Like Leon thinks that Ada is dead at the end of Resident Evil 2. Then in Resident Evil 4, he realized that okay, she's alive. And he's kind of like he's having like of course like those feelings again. And I just think that if this was like a real situation, if that was me and I was sent on like all of these missions, only gonna find out that like the girl that I encounter on a mission, she's alive when I thought she died back, and I thought she died 2 games ago, breaking the fourth wall. Like, what makes you think that, my feelings wouldn't come back and say, okay, she's alive, she's well, we're talking to each other, we have our little interactions, and you kind of like take things from there. So, for Leon not to end up with Ada is just as strange to me as Chris not ending up with Jill, considering that Chris was really trying to chase her down. Oh, that's just his partner. He cares about his partner. Come on, bro. Like, Chris isn't punching boulders for anyone other than Jill. Like, I just look. I have to look at the context. Like, everyone knows that the most logical relationships in the Resident Evil franchise, the two that I know of right now, Chris and Jill, Ada and Leon, possibly Sherry and Jake, possibly. I don't really know. Jake was only introduced in one game, Resident Evil 6, and it's been 3 installments since then, and we haven't heard anything else about Jake. I do think that what ended up happening with Jake, he just went his own separate way. But isn't Jake still in the who would win in a fight? Who would win in a fight, bro? That Wesker wannabe or Jake? Yeah. Yeah, who would win that? That's what I want to know. Who would win that? Bro, let's switch gears real quick. Wait, not yet. Let me watch the video in full, and then I'm gonna switch off. Let me stay on task with it.
Cross paths, and when that day comes, I really hope Capcom will decide to continue with the story that they left us with in Resident Evil 6. I would just love to see these two characters get further developed. And another thing to remember is it's not just Leon who has feelings for Ada. Ada also has strong feelings for Leon, and we see this time and time again throughout the series, such as in Resident Evil 2 when she could not pull the trigger on Leon to get the sample. She just couldn't bring herself to do it because she had actual feelings for Leon. Or the fact that she goes back to give him a rocket launcher. She had no reason to go do that if she didn't have feelings for him. And then of course in Resident Evil 4, when you play separate ways, there's a moment where she doesn't want to be seen with Leon because if she did at that moment, she would have to kill him. So she has feelings for him, just as Leon has feelings for her. So I would really love to see the next time they meet, Capcom actually develop that further. I think it would just be a really cool thing to see. And at the end of Ada's campaign in Resident Evil 6, she actually does accept a job, and we never actually get to see what that is. So I think it'd be really cool if Ada was to become the main character for a game and Leon were to become the side character for the game, sort of reversing the roles and have them sort of switch it. I think something like that would be kind of cool, but either way, I'm just looking really forward to the next time that these two characters will meet, and hopefully Capcom remembers this plot point that they left us with at the end of Resident Evil 6, and we'll further develop it the next time we see these two characters. One thing that I am hoping won't happen though is that Capcom does develop their relationship further and actually gives it some closure and then kills one of the two characters off in some dramatic fashion.
What did you just say?
I am hoping won't happen though is that Capcom does develop their relationship further and actually gives it some closure and then kills one of the two characters off in some dramatic fashion, like a sacrifice or something like that. That would really suck because, as I've said, these are my two favorite characters in the series, and so I'd really hate to see something like that happen. But regardless of that, I really do want to see Capcom come back to this plot point at some point down the road. Now that the whole
I just think that like Capcom can do it in Resident Evil 9 with DLC. Like I think about it like Resident Evil 4. Like now mind you, when Resident Evil 4 first came out, separate ways you unlocked it upon like beating the game. So it wasn't like DLC. It like you beat the game and then you realize, oh, separate ways. I can play as Ada. So I do think that like with Resident Evil 9, if we're gonna introduce DLC, the DLC section, let's say that's gonna expand the story. If it expands the story, Capcom could put Ada in it, right? And I mean, they could if they wanted to. They could introduce. Yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't, but there's no real inclination that Ada is even back in Raccoon City because like even though they revisited Raccoon City, like if Ada isn't on a mission to go back to Raccoon City, why would she be there? You know, she would need a mission. Now, why is the BSAA back? Back in Raccoon City? We saw that when we made it. When we made it to that that outdoor section, and we saw like the team get annihilated. Like the whole team had gotten wiped out. Those were all BSAA members. But not look, we have to be honest. We have to pay attention to the fact that Ada is not BSAA. Ada is not like she I don't even think Ada works for Umbrella really. Like does Ada like officially work for Umbrella? I don't think she does. Like she doesn't. I'm not interested. See? It says no. Ada Wong does not officially or permanently work for the Umbrella Corporation in the main Resident Evil game canon. She is a freelance corporate spy and mercenary who often works against Umbrella, primarily acting for a rival company to steal bioweapons research. Interesting. Betrayal and freelancing. Even when she works with individuals linked to Umbrella like Albert Wesker, she frequently betrays them, supplying false data to keep the real samples for her own employers or herself. She is a professional operative who is loyal only to her own objectives or her true employer. Yeah, but I think it gets a little muddy when, your feelings start getting involved and, like I said, she likes Leon, so she can be a professional operative all she wants. But at some point, perhaps she could end up with Leon. I'm just saying. It's the logical choice.
whole Ethan Winters saga is over, I think that the potential for it to make a return is pretty bright. I mean, obviously, like I said, Chris is going to get his game in Resident Evil 9 more than likely, but still, there is potential for Leon and Ada to show up soon after that. So fingers crossed that that happens soon. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you want to see the relationship between Leon and Ada be further developed from the cat and mouse thing that's been going on since 2? Or do you like the cat and mouse plot that they have going on with each installment that we see them in? Whether
I mean, like they could keep it that way, but to kind of keep like the audience like hanging on. It's like, come on, bro, like when is it gonna happen? Will it ever happen? Because now, like we done spoiled that part on accident. People are saying Leon is definitely married in Resident Evil 9, and it's like, okay, so who is Leon married to? So, see, all it takes is for me to play a video game, and then all of these clips come out, and next thing you know, certain parts of the game just get spoiled. I can't. It's like past a certain point, you really can't avoid it. I don't really care about that though. Like Leon tied the knot with somebody. The question is, who did he tie the knot with? And of course, people are going to speculate on who that person is. And like I said, I just think the most logical choice is the person he was actually attracted to in the series. What do you think this is? You think people are entertained in relationships and they're not even attracted to the person they talking to? We not gonna act like that's not a thing. That's a whole thing. But you know what I find funny though? I find it so interesting that like Albert Wesker was able to find some lady to to button mash for free, and then we find out that Jake is Wesker's son in Resident Evil 6. So like even if what we think if we think like the logical thing of what would have happened would have been, like we pretty much, I guess I can assume that Wesker probably wasn't going to end up having anyone. But Wesker found somebody. The real question is, who did Wesker have a kid with to get Jake? Let's see. Are there any videos on it? Capcom finally acknowledged Jake. Wesker explained. Nah. Wesker saved Ada. I don't care about that. But the funny thing is, like, they'll never talk about it though. They will never talk about it though. Did you know Wesker and Rebecca? What you mean?
Did you know? Wesker is obsessed with Rebecca. He was the one to recruit Rebecca to STARS. He had a film role of her in an athletic outfit in his STARS desk, and had many chances to kill her in Resident Evil 0 and Resident Evil but didn't.
I don't like I don't like that. See, now I'm gonna just Google it. I'm just Google it. Did they ever tell who Wesker had a kid with? No, the Resident Evil series has never revealed the name or identity of the woman Wesker had a child with. It is known that the mother was an Eastern European Edonian woman nicknamed Miss Muller, whom Wesker had a brief relationship with in the early 1990s before abandoning her, unaware she was pregnant with their son Jake Muller or Mueller. The mother's background: she was an immigrant from Edonia to the United States, who later returned to Edonia and raised Jake as a single parent. She loved Wesker, but he showed no interest in her or the child, leading Jake to grow up viewing his father as deadbeat. Whereabouts? She fell ill and died, driving Jake to become a mercenary. Did Jake say that? Hold on. Did Jake tell Sherry about his mother? Jake and Sherry talk about. Okay.
Jake! Where are we?
China.
Obviously, but where? Why?
Don't know, don't care. I just know I am done being their guinea pig.
What did they do to you?
Plenty. They said something about using my antibody to enhance the C virus.
Oh no. What else did they say?
You know anything about an Albert Wesker?
What?
Take that as a yes. We talked about him. A lot. I guess he had an antibody that could fight off any virus. Apparently, he abused his gift. Took it for granted. And then ended up turning himself into some kind of monster. You never thought dear old Dad was just a deadbeat who skipped out on us. No, no, no. He was actually a freaking nut job who almost destroyed the world.
Your father's actions have nothing to do with you.
Yeah, but his blood does. It's the whole reason why we're even here. I mean, come on. You really think that crazy doesn't run in the family? That nothing of who my father was didn't somehow get passed on down to me? You of all people should know that's true. I'm just saying. The man that I am, the things that I've done, at least it all makes a little bit more sense now. What?
You can blame your father all you want, but at some point, you have to take responsibility for your own actions.
I see how you feel, you know. I see how you, bro. Do we know what let's say Miss Muller? No. I don't even think we would have known what she looked like, bro. Do we know what Jake's mother in Resident Evil looks like? It's not even known what she looks like. She is never shown or described in detail in the game. So, you know what that makes me think? She could have been like a researcher. She really could have been a researcher at the end of the day. That's sort of what I'm thinking. Miss Catherine. That's sort of what I'm thinking. Cause like I like every character that I'm introduced to in Resident Evil that you control. I like them all. So I don't necessarily, put them like in a ranking. I've just been playing Resident Evil games ever since I was a kid. And it went from me playing Resident Evil to playing Dead Space, and I've always had like this knack for like scary games. It's just that when I was little, I was scared to play them. I'm not as scared now, but I kid you not, bro. Like the first time I ever played Dead Space, I was shaking, holding the case. I'm like, bro, even the case looks scary. I don't want this game. I don't want it. But like my father actually convinced me to get Dead Space because it was different than any other game I've ever played. And that was like one of the first games that I played that kind of slowed me down a little bit, because typically when I get my hands on video games, like I knock them out the park. So like Dead Space took me a little bit of time to get used to, because bro, like, I was scared, bro. I went through that whole game aiming. And at some point, that was like my scary game arc. So I have a lot of experience playing scary games. It's just that when it comes down to playing scary games, there has to be a really nice one that comes out, like all of them don't have to be AAA top-notch games, like well-known games. It just has to have story, action, some sustenance, something for you to like, enjoy, something to have a little bit of an impact, not something that wants to be scary and it's just a bunch of jump scares at the end of the day, because like, okay, jump scares get corny after a while. But with like Resident Evil, like the way that I feel about the game, like period, is that like the characters have these backstories, and you often get pulled in, and you often get attached to the character because of like their upbringing, because of the backstory. Like imagine if we got introduced to Leon in Resident Evil 2, but we never knew he was a rookie cop. Imagine, would the game had changed much if he was like a veteran cop? I just think it being his first day on the force kind of like just maximized like that, that initial reaction, because it's like, bro, not only is it his first day as a cop, but he's, Raccoon City happens on his first day, and I'm like, bro, that's crazy. Here you are starting a new job, next thing you know, apocalypse. So it was different. It was like definitely it's definitely interesting. But I think that because of the background and like the backstories of the characters, you get pulled into the into like them, right? And you care about them. I think that you can't care about Leon and not care about Ada. You know, like if Leon is your favorite character, how can Leon be your favorite character, but then you hate Ada? And if you hate Ada, you might hate Ada because Ada likes to play games with him. But they be teasing each other, bro. They be teasing each other. Let me see. Ada teasing Leon. Like, let's look that up. Okay, that's funny. That is not what I'm looking for. I think they probably only kissed like maybe twice in the whole series. If we're gonna sit here and be honest, let me see. Let me see. Ada and Leon cutscenes compilation. It's a 38-minute video. I'm watching that, bro. I just want to see Resident Evil 2 RE2. I want to see the original though. Like the original, not the remake, because the remake could like mix things up. But I want to see the original. So which one is it? Ada Wong Resident Evil 2 cutscenes. I mean, once again, every cutscene with Ada in it most likely has Leon too. So there's no way around it. Let's go. I'm not watching a 30-minute long video. I want to watch. Forget it. Resident Evil 2. It's Shelver. It's Shelver. The RE2 remake. But I don't want to watch 22 minutes of it either. I just want to watch like when they first meet. I want to watch when they first meet. What's this? Wait, hold on. What's that? What is that?
Don't die, Leon. I owe you.
Interesting. That's a movie. Let's watch this one.
So let me get this straight. Umbrella sells monsters like that to who? Our military? Somebody else's?
They don't sell the monsters. They sell the viruses that make them. And Annette is who makes the viruses. Scary as that alligator was, Annette is far more dangerous.
This is after the scene, after the chase sequence with the alligator in the sewer. So this is right after that. Yeah, this man is just walking around. He's played the game. It seems like he's playing the game for the first time.
Definitely Williams' handiwork. Definitely Williams' handiwork.
Identify yourself.
Annette Birkin.
She's who we're looking for?
Not much time. Need to dispose of it. We're here for the G virus. That's not gonna happen. I'm warning you, Doctor. Oh, yeah?
Hey!
Stop! You'll never get the G virus! Didn't expect that from a scientist. Leon.
Forget about me. Just go. Stop her before she gets away.
He did jump in front of that to save her, because I think she wasn't even moving.
I'm right outside the facility, in pursuit of Annette. If it's not on her, it must be in the nest. Once it's in hand, I'll call for extraction.
Hey, like Ada, stop playing with your boy. Like, stop playing with him. And like the original was similar to that too. RE2 original. Leon saves Ada. Original, bro. Like Nintendo 64 edition, bro. Original. Original. Naruto original. Bro, I'm about to put Nintendo 64 like at this point. Like Leon saves Ada Nintendo 64 style. Like, where's the original? See, yo, they playing games, bro. They playing games, and I don't like that. I don't appreciate it. But you get the point. Like, at the end of the day, bro, like that's the girl. That that's his girl, and they just be playing, bro. I just think that like that scene in Resident Evil 6 when Leon is like defending her, that's like Resident, it's not like Resident Evil 6 isn't canon. Resident Evil 6 is canon. And that's like the last interactions with him and Ada. So I just think that um if that's their last interaction, they have to meet each other again. So let's check it out, ladies and gentlemen.
Can't stay out of trouble, can you, Leon? And always one step behind.
She's heading to the roof.
Let's hope the elevator still works. What's wrong?
It's nothing. Let's go.
That's like when you see the person you like and you try to deny it. I didn't even know she kissed a rocket, bro.
She's more than just a friend, isn't she? You have feelings for her.
Leon, ever the survivor. Oh well. No rest for the weary.
Ada!
She went up!
Speed this up.
I can handle this one alone, Leon.
Ada! Elena, cover me.
See, like people don't do things like that for someone they don't like. You think I'm gonna be climbing up a little thing, just climbing up. Oh, baby girl get hit. You think I'm gonna just jump over there if I'm not feeling her? If I'm feeling her, I'm a skate across Earth. So people don't do that for people they don't like. Continue.
Ada, can you hear me? Don't let it end like this. Not if I can help it. Come on, wake up. You're really Ada. I know you can pull through this. We both can.
I was just resting my eyes.
Shouldn't sleep on.
Bro, that's baby girl. Why they playing with it like that? Like, stop acting like they don't belong together, bro. That's like 1 + 1 is 2, bro. Like, jeez. Let me chill.
The job.
In case you haven't noticed, Simmons doesn't take rejection.
Is there some backstory I should know here?
Nothing worthwhile.
They out here flirting on the low, bro.
Leon!
I'll pass.
You can't always get what you want, Simmons. Let's call this closure. You really should have moved on.
What are you? Why are you helping us?
So cute. You're really confused by all this, aren't you, Leon? It's kind of fun to watch. Wish I could stay longer, but I've got to run. I've left you a little parting gift on the roof. See you down the road, Leon.
Ada!
I can't watch this. I can't watch it, bro. Like, oh man, dude. Like, listen, Capcom. I'm only gonna tell you this one time. Actually, I guess I'm gonna have to tell you this for the 9th time. You gotta put them together, you know? You're killing us. But look, bro, enough said. Like, we have enough cutscenes for people to understand that, like, the bond that Leon has with Ada, you know, it's like, bro, Capcom knows what they're doing, bro. Like, if there is one like franchise, one developer that I truly support right now, as of today, even before, it's Capcom. Like, Capcom really, when you think of Capcom, you think of Resident Evil. And I like, every game is like great to me. A lot of people don't really like Resident Evil 6 too much because it's not that scary. I mean, but I know that's attributed to not the co-op, because games can be co-op and still be scary. Uh you know, it's like almost like it's bittersweet in a sense, because when you're by yourself, is much a game is much more scary. So it's still scary, just not as scary. But you know, like, everyone knows, like, the only thing that Resident Evil 6 didn't really do too well was it was more actiony than it was scary. Because if I can dodge a zombie swinging like a pole at me, if I can counter the zombie, there's really nothing for me to be afraid of. I can slide on the floor, I can roll, I can melee whenever I want. So it wasn't that scary, but it's still canon, you know? So everyone knows, you know, at the end of the day, that, like, the relationship that we see between Leon and Ada is just different. It's just different. That's why, like, if Leon ends up with anyone else other than Ada, it doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make any sense for there to be all of the tension between those two: Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4, now Resident Evil 6. You know, it doesn't make sense for there to be that much tension, that much, like, you know, energy between them, for them not to end up, you know, rocking with each other. Or is it really just going to be one of those situations where they look at Leon as like water and they look at Ada as like oil, like they just won't mix, but they fill in each other. So like make it happen in due time though. I don't think, Capcom will ever make it happen overnight. It's look at how many games we have. We have 9 Resident Evil, actually more. We have more than 9 Resident Evil games. And that's a fact. We have Resident Evil Revelations 1, Resident Evil Revelations 2. We have Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles. We have oh yeah, we have Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. I don't know if that one is canon though. Luckily, we have the internet. Is Resident Evil Operation? I spelled raccoon wrong. Raccoon City canon. What happened? Resident Evil Raccoon City should have been better. Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City is not canon. Okay.
Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City is not canon, but it is a spin-off, since the game's story takes a different direction from the main series. For example, it's possible to kill Leon and the protagonists manage to escape from Raccoon City by helicopter, altering the original events. Resident Evil
Yeah, I know there is an option to like, kill to like, just because like the team that is sent in Operation Raccoon City, you were deployed by Umbrella, so either you follow their orders mindlessly or you develop a conscience. That's all that is. But it makes sense that one isn't canon. It says Leon's wife has already been revealed in Resident Evil 9 and Resident Evil Requiem, and nobody noticed. Is this in English?
Resident Evil 9 has finally been released, and like every good game in the franchise, some questions, of course. The franchise is just gaining more traction now, you know? For those who don't remember, the game's director and producer were already asked about this in some interviews before the game's release, and they said that it would be much more interesting for players to discover this in this new title than for this issue to be addressed here. It pretty much made everyone confirm that Ida would be in this game, didn't it?
Close your mouth. Close your mouth. Close your mouth. Resident Evil Requiem. Who is Yeah, he better be Leon. Marry the Ada. In Resident Evil Requiem, it is heavily implied that Leon Kennedy is married due to a wedding ring he wears, but the game purposefully leaves the identity of his spouse a mystery, fueling intense fan speculation, while many fans argue it is his long-term love interest Ada Wong. Others have suggested Sherry Birkin. What? Why would it be Sherry? Claire or no, it wouldn't. It would not be Ashley, bro. It would not be Ashley. Why would it be Ashley? No, like at the time that he even saved Ashley, like she was. I'm not saying she was irrelevant, but Ada was in the picture, like, And you heard what he said at the end of Resident Evil 4. She's like a part of me I can't let go. Yeah, baby girl. You know what I'm saying? It's saying after the main game concept art shows Leon putting on the wedding ring, which he is seen wearing on his left hand in scenes. The candidates, according to OpenCritic.com, discussions primarily revolve around Ada Wong, though some fans have jokingly or seriously suggested other characters. Actor perspective, voice actor Nick Apostolidis, when asked about the choice, noted he likes Ada too, acknowledging her role in saving Leon multiple times as reported. Okay, let's take a trip down Reddit lane. Yo, Ada is cute, bro. Ada is too cute to me. Okay, fans of Resident Evil Requiem have been genuinely excited after details of Leon's appearance began circulating online. A wedding ring is clearly visible on one of his hands. The game itself barely draws attention to this detail, but in the final scene there is significant focus on the important on this important accessory for the character. Turns out that Leon is married to Ada Wong. Fans learned this directly from the game's director, Koshi Nakanishi. He responded to several fans in private messages when asked about Leon's love interest. While he didn't explicitly state it was Ada Wong, the director's answer pointed precisely to that. Leon married Ada, at least in the image below. He certainly doesn't deny that it's her. Obviously, this can't yet be considered canon. Capcom itself remains silent on the matter. Perhaps future DLC will tell us more about this. Capcom seemingly deliberately left this story element vague, adding fuel to the endless fan wars over correct shipping. The ring is there, the spouse is there. Let's be happy for Leon and Ada. Okay, like you can say, where's the picture at? Where's the picture? I need evidence. I need evidence. And this photo didn't even load, bro. The disrespect. But it's like I said, like we don't know until Capcom actually confirms that, you know, Leon is with Ada. They would have to actually confirm it. I just think that at the end of the day, it makes sense. It makes sense at the end of the day.
Okay.
Videos are.
No one is ready. Resident Evil Requiem DLC is much bigger than you
Videos are
think.
gonna be.
I'm sure the DLC will be bigger than we think. I just think that when it's all said and done, like we won't like know for sure until that stuff drops. Like some people will say, oh, you know, the DLC is gonna be massive. We don't know that the DLC will be massive until it drops. And we can see like the gigabyte count. Like we don't know that, bro. We can speculate all we want. But one thing that I do think is that like Capcom really doesn't disappoint fans, you know? Every Resident Evil game has been on point. And I know I watched a video at some point and the guy was like, you would think that after 9 installments of Resident Evil that, you know, Capcom would fall off somewhere. The games seemingly always get better. Like Capcom always maximizes on what, you know, the previous game did or didn't do right. Think about it this way. A lot of people said that Resident Evil 6 wasn't as scary. Well, then you got Resident Evil 7 and 8. And Resident Evil Resident Evil 7 compared to Resident Evil 6 was much more scary. So you have to take that into account. Like Capcom be listening, bro. What was going on? My eye. What's going on? Now that you know a message popped up, let me make sure the chat pops up. Okay. Yeah, we're just chatting. I've been here for about an hour and a half, chilling, talking about like a mixture of Resident Evil and scary games. And I just think that, you know, once again, when it's all said and done, like Leon should end up with Ada. It makes the most sense. For Leon to end up with anyone else doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense, you know. And that's why I think that, you know, if Capcom confirms that Leon is with Ada, is Chris gonna end up with Jill? Is Chris gonna end up with Jill? That's what I want to know. Also, it says also I saw some video from you about Rakai. I've heard of them, but I don't know what drama they had. Oh yeah, when I saw this thumbnail, I thought you were playing a game. I wasn't like, nah. That was just a thumbnail talking about yes indeed. That was just a thumbnail because we were talking about Resident Evil 9. But yeah, like the video that we made about Rakai, well not made about Rakai. The video that we made kind of like talking about it was kind of like just about Like, what's going? What's been going on, bro? It took me 55 minutes to record this video. 5 views, 5 views. The disrespect. I try so hard. Can't seem to get away from misery. Sorry, I meant the title, not thumbnail. Oh, I see. Thumbnail could have been a little misleading. A little. But yeah, the thing with like Rakai, like I don't the reason why like, I haven't said too much about it is because like I don't know him, and the last thing that I want is to make a video and you says that video needs 55 views. I did watch it, but I didn't understand the drama he's in. Like the drama that is surrounding Rakai right now, it's like if you take into account what other people are saying about like where he is right now, because Rakai is 17 years old, and he's a well-known streamer, but he makes a lot of like questionable decisions and mistakes, and people think that he should be held accountable. And what I said in the video was that Rakai being 17 years old, you have to take into account what being famous at a young age does to your brain. Like you have to take into account like having that level of fame, having that level of access to like anything that you could possibly want in the world. It's like the world is like your candy shop. Yeah. So like imagine if like let's let's look something up for context purposes. What is Rakai's, of course, people always want to look that up. Rakai, a 17-year-old content creator, has built a significant following with over 1.5 million followers on Twitch and 600,000 YouTube subscribers. His net worth is estimated to be around several $1 million, driven by his rapid growth and engagement, according to a blog post from the Ori AI. See what I'm talking about? What mistake did he make? Did he date an over 18? Like Rakai is almost 18. So there are like that him dating a chick that's 18 is not the issue. It's the fact that the girl that he's talking to right now, she's into OnlyFans. She's 18, and like when she turned 18, she's into OnlyFans now. Allegedly, like they said, upon turning 18, she immediately went to
All right, everybody.
OnlyFans. And so like because of that, I look at it like there are gonna be a lot of people are gonna make a lot of comments, on that situation. And I look at it from my own standpoint. I try to look at it objectively. Um that like it's really not my place to make a comment. I don't like making content about other people, because my thing is it's like what I feel is that when your channel blows up, like when it goes like viral, I don't want for my channel to go viral because you reacted to this person and this person just happened to be super hot, or there's a lot of drama and then your channel blew up about it, because then you almost feel obligated to keep doing that type of content. And I'm like, that's not the image that's not the image that I want. And outside of the image, that isn't the energy that I want to put out there. I don't want to benefit, off of other people like that. Like I react to what I think I can provide additional information about or into. Like I'm really not trying to follow trends. When is Rakai's birthday? Let me see. Rakai's birthday. November 21st, 2008. 2008. Yo, they even got his name, bro. They got his whole name out here. It's like, jeez, get this man some privacy, bro. That's one of the things that they don't talk about with fame. Like the level, like the level of privacy that you lose when everyone knows your face and everyone knows your name and they can Google you and they can find like your full name. Like you lose that. You know, like you hear people talk about it all the time. Like, oh, I want to be able to go to the movies and no one recognize who I am and just blend in and be regular. How was he younger than you? Because he was born before you. No, sorry, he was born after you. That's how he's younger than you. But you gotta understand that we live in like this digital realm where like people are kind of people's channels can blow up overnight. And I look at it for what it is. It happens. A lot of people were able to make money and have their channels just become extremely profitable. So I'm not going to take anything away from anyone, because like I do see it. Like I'm looking at it from my perspective. Like if that was me and I had that level of fame, access, and success today, I'm taking care of my whole family. Bittersweet. you know like that's crazy young to be famous. Yeah, it is. And that's why I think that, like, for the people that are holding Rakai accountable, like, kind of have to take into account he's famous at a young age. We have to pay attention to what that does to the brain. Gotta pay attention to that. And we can take it a step further if people like don't believe what I'm saying. Let me see. Because I said this term in the video. Bio psychosocial influences on a young kid, now famous. Haha!
The biopsychosocial model is an approach to understanding health and illness by considering.
I don't like that video. Ooh. This is something from 5 years ago. I'm trying to find something short. As soon as an adult gets famous, it affects the brain, but for a teen even more. Yeah, because you're still developing.
Your brain does not defy the laws of physics. Everywhere in your brain are neurons that are firing. All of those neurons are made up of proteins, and all those proteins are made up of atoms, and none of those atoms can violate the laws of physics. So every single thought that you have is an extension of a neuron firing. So now when we're talking about depression, I want you to think about it with this model. Mental illness is not just one thing. We need to split it up into 3 organs. We have your brain, where all your neurons are sitting. Then we have your mind, where all your thoughts are hanging out, and then we have your person. This is you. Does that kind of make sense? Let's say I'm Phineas Gage, and a giant railroad spike shoots right through here and nails my limbic system, completely separates it. That's going to affect my mind, because my mind and all my cognitive faculties are seated right here in the biology of my neurons. So when that goes, my ability to regulate my emotions changes.
That is not what I'm getting at. Like, what I'm getting at is this. Maybe it's just better for me to like explain it. There are biological, psychological, and social factors to consider that shapes your identity, shapes who you are, your sense of purpose. It shapes your idea of how you fit in with the world around you, right? Now, at a young age, in school, at a young age, that's like the prime time that people are trying to figure out who, trying to figure themselves out, like kind of like discover, who you are. Like I want to figure out what I'm into, like who am I as a person. And that it happens most common in those school in the ages between 12 to 17. Rakai is 17 now. I don't know when he first blew up. When did Rakai start blowing up? His breakout year was 2014. So let's say that so he was 16. When did Rakai start streaming? How did Rakai get popular? Viral candid video. He started streaming in December of 2023. Interesting. 2024, just chatting, reactions, and gaming. Rise to fame. Built a large following after a viral video. Is known for high energy, comedic style. As of late, became a prominent figure in the just chatting IRL categories. Twitch and IRL streamer Rakai game. Okay, viral. Blah 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 blah. Is he still banned for 2 years? Huh. Rakai is not banned. Yeah, but either way, he's young, right? And a lot of people have to take into account what that's doing in regards to his his development on a physical, emotional, spiritual standpoint. Like people have to take that into account. Like you can only imagine what being famous and having like hundreds of thousands of people like watch you. You can only imagine what that would do to you. And so that was like when I made that reaction video, I didn't want to sing the same song that everyone else was singing. I just think that we are seeing the byproducts of what it means to be famous at a young age. And that's just how I see it. It's going to come with a lot of mistakes because everyone makes mistakes. And I look at it like Rakai is no different. Rakai is no different when it comes down to people making mistakes. Hey. Okay. Hey. Ooh. That looks like it hurts, bro. But yeah, like it is what it is at the end of the day. Like everybody wants to be famous, but then no one really factors in like no one everybody wants to be famous, but no one factors in what that looks like once you make it to that level. Everybody wants to be famous or go viral. Like like we live in an area with TikTok and everything, and TikTok is for now was here to stay. I remember when TikTok was almost gonna be banned in the US. People were going insane, bro. People were literally selling phones that still had the TikTok app installed on them just to have access to an outdated version of TikTok. That's how bad it was, bro. That's how bad it was. People were going crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen.
No, I don't even like want to hear like videos. It's just that like people were going crazy, dude. People were selling their phones for like $1,000. Oh yeah, I'm willing to buy your phone if it still has TikTok on it, because then after I uninstall that, I can't get it no more. It's like, you like, nah, bro. It should not have gotten to that point. It should not have gotten it shouldn't have gotten that bad, but it did. It did, and so, I mean, now now TikTok is here. People. What?
Hundreds of children.
Did he just breathe 1,000 times?
Hundreds.
That's so goofy, bro. Black zombie. All right. You know what? You got my attention a little bit.
Hundreds of children. Albert, cat eyes, nothing. I want to destroy the world. Black people.
I was looking over my timeline when
Why he throw that in there like that,
oh my
bro?
God, I forgot to virtue signal today. How am I gonna repair racism when I'm not out there talking?
Nah, I ain't watching that, bro. Nah, it's over. It's over. They made me mad off of that. It ain't make me mad. I should have paid attention, to the title. I should have like really locked in with it and was like the initial reaction that it got out of me. I'm like, so what? Like, humans are humans, bro. What do you think is gonna happen? Like, if someone get bit? I never looked at a zombie and was like, oh, that's a white zombie. Like, I've always looked at it like, yeah, that's a zombie. Give me a rocket launcher. Like, what? What you talking about? What are you talking about? But I think that we are at a point where I can chill for the rest of the night. I can go relax, do my own thing, and take it easy. Overall, and just to wrap up the stream, I suppose. Tomorrow we will be playing Resident Evil. What I do want to stream around maybe 2 p.m. 2 p.m. the latest. I just, once again, like, I'm in the stream now so that I can lock in with work, so Saturday we can just relax and have fun, and I don't have to think about doing anything else. Ghost of Yote came out with Legends mode, and I may play that when I in stream and just relax and have fun as per usual, do my own thing. We still have Reanimo to get into. We still have, is there another game I'm missing? Yeah, we still have Reanimo to get back into. We still have Neo 3 to get back into, and I have games on the list. We still have Resident Evil Requiem because we haven't finished it yet. But I know that they're already working on DLC. But I don't think that they have let us know about what DLC is going to be coming out. Let me see. I don't think we got anything. I look at it like, if it doesn't come from Resident Evil 9 or whatever, then I don't know. I mean, not if it doesn't come from Resident Evil 9. If it doesn't come from the people who said it, then listen, people are just like speculating, and people are going to keep speculating. Hold on. DLC confirmed. Are you speculating?
DLC for Resident Evil Requiem is already in the works. The game's only been out for 2 weeks. The director of the game has already confirmed that a new story expansion is in development. And the DLC is called Resident Evil Requiem, The Ashcroft Files. And it focuses on the game's new protagonist, Grace Ashcroft. Which means we'll finally get to see more of her backstory, learn more about her in the FBI and how she ended up in this nightmare. But the interesting part about this DLC is that it will introduce a new survival minigame, and fans are already hoping that this might be the return of the mercenaries. DLC for
It might be. At this point, I look at it like all of the Resident Evil games that we've come to really enjoy all have actually, it doesn't have to be mercenaries mode. It could be something similar to is that Resident Evil 2? Is that Resident Evil 2 that's gonna have It had like these little no Resident Evil 3 because Resident Evil 3 didn't have mercenaries mode. Resident Evil 3 had like alternate not alternate scenarios, but Resident Evil 3 had like these scenarios for characters that you could play, if I'm not mistaken. So, and I wouldn't even I've never seen I wouldn't view mercenaries as a mini game. I've never viewed it as a mini game. You know, is mercenaries mode a mini game? Like a mini game is short, brief. Really? The mercenaries mode in Resident Evil is considered an arcade style mini game. Bro, I spent hours on that. Like, I'm thinking mini games are super short, you know, like, man, hey, stop playing. Stop playing. But yeah, I think we are gonna wrap up right here, Will, just because you know, we've been live for a minute. Even though engagement was low, I'm proud of myself for having some really nice talking points. And I may actually think that what I want to do is clip some sections and post them and see how it does. So Will, do me a big favor. I want you to take care, be well, enjoy your day because I know you're in a different time zone than I am. I think your day is probably just starting. So enjoy, have some fun, relax, get something to eat, chill, do your thing. And we will see you next time when we play a video game that is not scary for you because I know you don't really like the scary games. But, you know, of course I appreciate you for stopping by, hanging out, doing your thing. And we have other games that we'll be playing and I'm going to have more YouTube videos. I'm going to work on those and make sure that my YouTube community, you know, gets the videos, whereas my Twitch community gets the streams. Try to do definitely keep doing a bit of both, and you know, keep that energy up. But of course, it depends on what you're playing. When everyone is playing the same game, everyone has all of the other channels that they can tune into. But that's why I think that like our YouTube Shorts kind of help bridge the gap a little bit because we do get some level of exposure with the YouTube Shorts, and I appreciate that. And it's definitely, you know, fun, entertaining, and it's kind of nice to see that sometimes I post a YouTube short that doesn't do well, and then other times I post a YouTube short and that short, you know, does really well. So yeah. And I know you prefer like the chatting and the chill days. We got to get the video games in there though. But Will, you take care. We will see you if you stop by tomorrow. So, without further ado, we will see you next time, mon ami.